This is a special podcast, episode 70 something. And I'm joined today with Kaylee Rine. Kaylee is autism mom, workout
Hmm.
extraordinaire, first form representative, homeschool mom, stay at
Yep.
home mom who works more than her husband, Tommy. And I can say that because Tommy was on the podcast a handful of
Yeah.
episodes ago, and you got to go check that one out. We went definitely unfiltered,
Hmm.
dad to dad. We tackled the all-encompassing question of, is autism a horror show? And it was
Yes.
it was a
Because
lot
that
of
was when
fun.
that all was happening. That's
Yep.
right.
And Kaylee, thanks for being here.
Yeah, I'm so happy to be here. I've been on Tommy's podcast or our podcast. So no, this
Right.
is cool. Yeah.
And now you're doing more co-hosting with Tommy on the Spectrum and Camouflage.
We're gonna try to make it a lot more regular, yes.
Okay.
I don't know if every week. I don't think last week I wasn't on. But yeah, we'd like to make it a little more regular. It's honestly something fun for us to do together also.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's good.
Nice. Do you guys I mean, anything, I don't know how to choose my words here. Anything, I mean, when you work on something with your husband or your wife, typically you could have some disagreements and some fights. Do you guys
Hmm.
ever like get into it after an episode?
Not, I wouldn't know, not over the podcast. We actually too, like, so we own a business that, and I worked for him before I became a stay-at-home mom, and honestly, we work very well together, which is
Nice.
interesting because we are like super different people, and I feel like mm, I wouldn't say our personalities butt heads, but we definitely have a lot of different thoughts. So it's
Totally.
no, it's not when working together like that. So,
Yeah, that's cool. I want to hear the story again of your journey with PX Docs, neuro focused
oh yeah,
chiropractic. And actually, when I was recording with Tommy, that was the first introduction I got into PX Docs.
that's
And
right.
from there, there was like three other events where it just kept repeating itself.
Hmm.
And I'm like, oh, this is incredible. But go into that. How did you find NeuroCare, and what was that all about?
So I literally just randomly came across Dr. Tony's podcast, the Experience Miracles podcast, on my Discover page on Instagram, and I I had heard of chiropractic care for kids and autism before, but I don't
It's
know
not popular.
why. No, not probably, honestly, that's probably why. And never looked into it. And then I saw this literally that clip, like a reel probably of like a clip of his podcast, and I just kind of started digging and I went to their Instagram page, and then I at the time it was like 4 or 5 episodes he had out at the time. I went
Oh,
and
early
listened.
on.
Yeah, it was at this point almost 2 years ago. So it was
Oh,
really
wow.
early on.
Okay.
Um, I went and binged all of the podcast episodes. And I mean, I remember like being in the school pickup line and I called Tommy and I was like, we have to try this. Like, this is everything Dr. Tony said described Wyatt like to a T. And I'd never heard
Wow.
anyone that wasn't like a parent to an autistic child just like just know, like just completely understand,
Yeah.
like not just what we're going through but like understand like behaviors and stuff. So I think the next day I went to their directory and I found two PX docs kind of near us, and I think the one we chose to go to, I only picked it because like their hours were longer and we could go, like the availability was just better. But
Hmm.
I mean, I'm so glad we're going to Maximum Potential. It's like the best, it's just the best place ever. um
Yeah.
so that's how I found them. So that's been almost 2 years. We've been going 3 times a week the entire time except for like a short, like 8 week period.
Whoa.
We went down
Okay.
to twice a week, and it wasn't, we kind of saw things like kind of go backwards a little bit.
Wow.
So we've been going back three times a week, ever since then. And that was a year ago, actually. So that's even been a while ago.
And
But
so,
yeah.
what were some of the improvements you saw? And a little background. We'll get into Wyatt's story, but
Hmm.
non speaking. Well, limited words.
Yes. Um, I would say he has one word, actually.
Okay.
And it is mom. Um, yeah, but no, he's non-speaking. I would say initially, I mean, right away we saw a lot of like, I don't, because you take your family to one, and like, I don't know if you've, um, they use the phrase soft signs. So
Uh-huh.
initially, lots of soft signs, like just less hyperactivity, maybe better sleep on and off, just more like connectedness with us and with siblings and with others. Um, gosh, there's so many that I feel like there's been so many improvements, you almost forget
Totally.
how it was,
And
honestly.
it's
And
subtle.
it is. And like they say, call them soft signs, like they're so subtle that you're like one day I'll just be like, oh, that's not happening anymore. But other also like big things like that have improved so much, or actually even stopped, like bedwetting and toileting improvements, stuff like that. Um, Sleep has been still on and off. Like that's just a, I know it's a struggle for so many kids with
Hmm.
autism, and it's probably like a parent's like biggest, quandary. My kid just
Right.
doesn't sleep. Wyatt honestly does better than a lot probably, but he's a very early riser. So, um, he doesn't really have trouble going to bed, but he'll wake up, but I mean, he's just awake.
Just
Um,
ready to go.
yeah. But so many soft signs, and like something we talked about in a podcast of ours recently, um, like a year ago even, we wouldn't have been able to wait in a waiting room like at a doctor's office. Eloping is like a big problem,
Hmm.
or was a big problem for Wyatt. And we can sit in a waiting room now, and that
Wow.
is like the
That's
craziest
huge.
thing. That's like kind of something you adapt so much to, like not being able to do those things. Taking the leap into even trying it is like it's very scary.
Yeah.
But we're able to do that now, even at the chiropractor. All the, I guess, like adjustment rooms, they all are private rooms and they have a door. And Wyatt at the beginning, like we'd have to shut the door every single time, or he'd be trying to leave the room. Especially when I'm getting adjusted, like we had to be really tactile about it. Like, but now the door's open every time. Um, he waits his turn. He sits while I'm getting
Oh,
adjusted.
wow.
Like,
That's
it's
huge.
crazy. It's
Yeah.
huge. Um, I think something too is like, just to brag on uh the chiropractor's office that we go to, like just the most helpful, awesome, positive, uplifting, hopeful people. Like
Totally.
will do anything to help you or to make like your visit more comfortable. Or I mean, I tell people that we recommend that they go there, like they've seen us at our best and our worst. Like they've seen some stuff.
Hmm.
And they don't even flinch. And I'm like,
Doesn't phase them.
no, I'm like, trust me, these are the best people. Like you've got to give this a try. Um,
Hmm.
so yeah, I think too, like why it's just become very comfortable there, and it's like our second home. I mean, so, but
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, even our ability to like waiting in a waiting room, like when you go to try that, he's just more responsive to my direction, like
Yeah.
um just more connectedness
Uh-huh.
is really a good way to put it. Um And I feel like Wyatt's always been a, I don't know, it's so different for parents, I think, because I obviously feel connected to him. And my intuition is so strong when it comes to him and his needs, but he's always been pretty connected. But there's definitely like when like just the lights kind of go out. And that doesn't happen very much anymore. So,
That's
he's
wild.
what Dr. Tony calls a raging bull. Um,
Yeah.
and that has, that's toned down a lot. Like just the hyperactivity and everything is just a lot less. So,
How about for you? How important has it been for you to get adjusted? Because I think a lot of people think like, oh, I mean, it's pretty common for parents to put all the emphasis on their kids and not take care of
yeah.
themselves. What has it
hmm
done for you?
So when I first started getting adjusted, it was specifically because I clenched my teeth all the time. And I was like, what do do you think this will help? And I mean, I clench my teeth 24/7 because I'm really like really stressed.
Right,
And
right.
gosh, within like two adjustments, I stopped. It was, I
Huh.
mean, I would clench my teeth. And anytime I was still in the car, sitting on the couch, in my sleep specifically was like the worst
It's
time. Like I would,
subconscious.
yeah, like I would just wake up and my mouth would hurt. But I would say like two visits, and now I'm like, so I just get adjusted once a week now, but I'm like, if I feel like I need a second one, I will. And so now it's more for like if something's hurting on me, not really for like necessarily that I feel stressed, but I know that it has helped my ability to regulate and
Hmm.
and then my me regulating myself then helps both my kids and my
Right.
husband, like that co-regulating. So it's been super helpful. Yes, I
Yeah.
recommend it highly. Are you getting adjusted too?
Yeah, I'm 3 times a week right now. It's
Wow.
interesting though, because about a month in, I woke up one morning and my jaw was killing me. And I asked Dr. Stan, I'm like, what's going on? He's like, well, that's good. I'm glad that's happening because it's showing us like you carry a lot of tension in your jaw
Mm.
and you
Mm-hmm.
must have been clenching in your sleep. So now we're bringing that subconscious like
Yeah.
stress response to the surface. So now you can be
Mm-hmm.
aware of it. And you're with all the adjustments, um, you were rewiring the messaging from your
Yeah.
like we've opened up the door for you to realize it, and now everything's getting rewired. So you're going to probably have a little rough phase here, and then you're going to come out of it. And it's true. I don't, my
Yeah.
jaw doesn't hurt. I catch myself now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You're aware of
It's
it. No, which is
right.
crazy.
It's super interesting.
Yeah.
What
It was so
other
funny.
what other therapies have you done with Wyatt? Everything.
Um, what's that?
Everything.
Yeah, like conventional therapy. We started speech therapy. Um, Actually, I was thinking about this earlier. I asked for a referral from his doctor to speech therapy when he was 2.5, and they told me to wait until he was 3,
Hmm,
which looking back is absolutely like
it's weird.
crazy to wait until 3. But speech, occupational therapy, we did both of those out as outpatient therapy. And we had a really good speech therapist. Real, I loved our occupational therapist. But then like non-conventional, we've seen a biomedical doctor,
Hmm.
um, who we unfortunately no longer see. But and then we also consulted with a homeopath virtually, I think for 2 years.
Okay.
And that was very helpful. We saw a lot of great things. And honestly, both even just like the knowledge we gained from both of them, um, as far as just like root health and just like
Right.
supplements and stuff like that, homeopathic remedies for like even like your cold and flu and stuff like that. Gained tons of knowledge from both of them. I'm trying to think. I feel like when Wyatt went to school, he got physical therapy,
Okay.
um, which I don't even know if he necessarily needed physical therapy, but um, he did that for a while. And then honestly, the therapist kind of like, I don't think he loved her. And she was
No,
like,
there's a lot
okay.
to that. Yeah.
Yeah, at the end of a year, she was just kind of like, oh, he doesn't need this anymore. And I'm like, okay, thank you. Like, I don't think he loves it. So,
It's the telepathy.
yeah,
We
yeah.
don't got to get into
Honestly,
that.
uh, he is good at reading people for sure. Like,
100%.
yes. And so I think also, um, I don't know, I think most kids are. Kids are
Oh, yeah.
intuitive.
Very.
And so but that was only for a year, maybe 2 years of PT. But yeah, I mean, I've looked into spell to communicate, but
Oh,
where
yeah.
we live, we're so far from like most providers, and I'm just like, gosh, I don't know. I just don't know about that yet with going to the chiropractor so often.
Right.
Um, I feel like I don't want to overload us all. So,
No, that's a good point. You can definitely do too
yeah.
much.
hmm We've
Eh,
we've looked into I don't know if you've gosh, I can't think of his name. He started the Brain Balance Centers. Um, I cannot think of his
Um,
name. We've looked into the brain balance stuff as well, but I didn't feel super confident in mm,
yeah.
honestly, the woman wasn't very confident on the phone, and so I was like,
Okay.
I just not right now then. I'm just not.
Right.
But
But I mean, that's a big point. Just do what you can handle. I think it's easy to overload yourself, and then you're more stressed out, and
yeah.
you're more. It just there's a point where you do what you can, and you roll
Yeah.
with it. Yeah,
hmm
and then going back to the intuitiveness of these guys, I'll never forget. When I was early on in teaching, I started out as an intern teacher
Okay.
because they were so desperate for teachers. It was a profound uh,
Yeah.
autism program, and I was being observed by my credential program during it, and I had this lady come and observe me. It was my first observation. She was probably like 85 years old,
Oh.
and she walked into my class, and it was high school. I had 7 students. All of them were violent,
Oh
non-speakers.
gosh.
And right away, one of my students threw his shoe at her, and
Oh my
it
gosh.
hit her in the head, and she never came back. She's like,
Oh wow.
I'm gonna have to meet you in the conference room. I'm not coming back into your room.
Oh my
And
gosh.
later, I went up to my student. I was like, hey, thanks, bro. I didn't want to deal with that anyways.
Oh,
But
that's
it was
hilarious.
like every time I would have a substitute aide come in, or even
hmm
some of my full time aides, it would be interesting to watch the students and how they would interact with them because they would
Yes,
for sure feel the vibes. And
for sure.
particular aides would have problems with particular students all the time. And it
hmm
was like, as the teacher, I could see it. They thought something was wrong with the student. I'm like, no, it's you. And then
Yeah.
all day I would be trying to
It's so
keep them away from the student. And it was this
yeah,
whole balancing act. But 100%, they know what's up.
they do. And school is I that's a whole other also topic.
Well,
That
when did he stop going to school? When did he come
um
home?
20 our first year of homeschool was 24 to 25, and so this was our second year, 25 to 26.
Okay.
Um
What went into that
we
decision?
Um, so he had been to public school for, 3 years. First 2 years were great. He had a one-on-one aide,
Okay.
and specifically the second year, he had a great aide. I felt like he was absolutely thriving, like doing so well. And his aide was just, she just engaged him so much.
Hmm.
And so the next year, they took his aide away. Um,
Because he was doing so well.
I
Funding.
don't, which one was it? I don't know.
Yeah.
Um, I think they wanted it to be because they wanted to see how it would go, and they wanted him to not basically become more independent and not be dependent on this one person. And I'm like, at first I was like, yeah, I mean, of course I want him to be more independent. And even within a classroom, like where there are still classroom aides, like I do want that independence for him. So, okay, yeah, absolutely. And it just, he was under engaged, I think, is a lot of the problem. I also think he did not vibe with one of the classroom mates that was
Okay.
new to that room. And behaviors, both at school and at home, just like a lot of stuff
Increased.
was popping up. And they didn't want to take any responsibility for those behaviors. It was all about basic, I don't know. I don't want to say like, because he did have a couple great years.
Yeah.
They just kind of started making him out to be a bad kid. And um it's almost like when your child's in a special needs classroom, it's like
Hmm.
obviously there's stuff going on, and it was like they forgot that he
Hmm.
needed extra help. It was a very strange situation. There was also that year he was getting fingerprints left on him, and
Oh.
that was like
Yeah.
obviously absolutely terrifying. And it just, gosh, I think we pulled him out of school like 2 weeks before school ended that year. And I was just, I mean, that was how, like, I couldn't even finish the year. I was just like, I can't do this anymore. This has been so terrible. I don't like it, just was a complete 180 from what it was. And so it was hard. It was a very hard decision, but at the same time, like I was just holding my breath every single day when he was at school. And
Yeah. What is
um,
that? What is that like? Like you send him off to school and then you're just
yeah, um,
waiting for your phone to ring?
pretty much. And people probably have really great experiences with school. And like I said, we did for a couple years, but yeah, you're kind of like waiting for your phone to ring pretty much all the time, especially if things have been difficult. Um, and you have you feel like you can't trust anybody, and
Yeah.
you can't, unfortunately, you wonder if people are being honest. And yeah, you're kind of holding your breath all day long, and it's people like they want you to send your kid to school because they think it's gonna, well, you need the break. And I'm like, it's not a break though, when it's like that at all. You're literally like, you're just scared all day long. You can't wait to go get them. Like, I mean, I was to the point, like, I would just be so anxious at the end of the day. I would leave the house like real early because I'm just like, ah, I just gotta go wait. Like, I gotta go wait for him.
Uh-huh.
Um, so yeah, I mean, what was that like? For you, I mean, I'm sure you were like really intimately involved with a lot of kids and parents, so I'm sure you like heard kind of the same stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I was always on this side. At the beginning of every school year, I would just talk with my parents and be like, "How much information do you want? Like, do you want
Yeah,
me calling home for everything, for nothing? Um, what do you want me to do?"
yeah,
And a majority of them. So, I mean, I taught. profound autism. So majority of them, and four of the years in low income schools,
Okay.
and so they didn't want me to call them. They didn't want phone calls,
Yeah.
and on there that's like totally made sense. And
Mm-hmm.
my goal was to not have to call them because
Yeah.
but then there was other ones where I would call them after school and be like, this
Mm-hmm.
is what happened all day, and they were good with that. But it's so hard because the school system isn't set up for the success of the students because it has to be so individualized, but you can only do so
Yeah.
much. And then you
Yep.
get a bunch seven behavior students in one room and expect them to improve when they're all watching each other and modeling each other.
Exactly.
Like
Yep.
that's psycho.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I was like you. I loved the students. I loved hanging out, but at the end of the day, well, A, they didn't pay enough, and B, um, like this the system and the paperwork was so
Mm-hmm.
difficult to navigate.
Specifically, did you teach at a public school or?
Yeah, all
Yeah.
7 years.
Public school is not made for with our kids in mind even.
No,
It's like literally the school is not built for that unless it's super new, it's just
right.
not made for to like, I guess the word cater, but to the needs of like high support needs kids at all. And that was
No.
something that we saw a lot at our was and still they're still talking about it and why it's not even been there for it's been 2 years, you know, still talking about why and how they're going to fund a sensory room. Um, that was two
Like
years ago.
that's not the number one thing they're putting in there.
Yeah, I'm like, guys, there's a lot of kids that would benefit from it. Like, I don't know, it's just crazy.
Right.
Like, it's just not it's not made with our kids in mind. And I also think I think staff are not trained
Oh, that's a huge problem.
really at all.
No.
And I mean, actually, when I was like literally 21 years old, I worked at a special needs school in the elementary classroom. I was a classroom aide. I got CPR training. That that was it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, and like that's crazy. That's like I didn't know what the heck I was doing. I didn't have kids of my own yet, let alone, I mean, like high support needs kids. And it was like the hardest thing I'd ever done at that point. And
Right.
honestly, I still look back on it and I'm like, that was so, and even now, and I do it 24/7, I'm like, that was so hard. But
Well, you
staff
get a
are
bunch of
undertrained.
yeah, you get a bunch of like good, big-hearted people wanting to help out
Yeah.
that have zero training. It's even teachers. I was super fortunate because for my first 2 years, no, my first 3 months, I was an aide under a phenomenal teacher, and
Hmm.
then the next year I was an aide under a teacher who the first year's teacher was her mentor. So I got a year and a half and I learned everything. So when
Hmm.
I got into the classroom, it was like I knew what to do, I knew what was going on. But most teachers don't get the classroom experience. They go through a credential program that teaches you nothing.
Right.
It teaches you like evidence based textbook that means nothing to anybody. And
Hmm.
then you get in the class and they try and implement it, but they forget about the student and
Yep.
every student has their own needs. So they
Yep.
essentially, now I'm going to go on a rampage. They treat every student like a project
Yep.
and it's a total disaster. And then the aides, like half, most of the, as teachers, most of your day is trying to manage the adults in the room.
I I know.
Yeah,
I mean,
and I have a dreams to write a book someday on titled
yeah.
"The Adults in the Room" because
Yeah.
that's the number one like foundational thing any sped teacher needs to learn is how to manage the adults. and
Right.
there's no schooling on that at all.
Right.
Um,
No, and I mean, I think like you said, just treating every kid like a project. I think it's, it's kind of like standardized testing. Like all you're trying to do is meet these IEP goals. And
yep.
I think an IEP is a great thing. It's a great like guidance, but I mean, yeah, you're doing is trying to reach these goals. And
And then teachers
honestly, I
fudge
think
the data.
yeah, and I think that I also think that it's kind of outdated, I guess would be like a good,
Yeah.
like I think too, so much has come to light about autism and about how, I mean, for lack of a better word, smart our kids are, that when
Oh
you
yeah.
go into a classroom with 10-year-olds and they're trying to teach them how to count to five,
Yeah.
like that's an IEP goal, is that you can count to five. That's
Hmm.
gross. And like I just think it's very outdated. And I don't know how what would change. I don't know how it would change.
It's
Um
hard. I feel like it comes down to the teacher. I took
yeah.
over when we moved up north to Idaho. I took over a high school classroom, and the first day I walk in, and one of the students is in the other room all by himself, and I'm like, "Why? Why is he in there?" He's like, "Oh, he's too violent. He can't be in this classroom." And then I look at what he's been working on the last couple of years. This is high school, and he's still learning his ABCs. And I'm like, dude, this
It's
is this. He's 18. He was a senior. Like he's 18 years old. Why do you think he's punching everyone? Because he's
right.
bored and he's sitting in
Mm-hmm.
a room by himself. So then I brought him in and I told the staff, I'm like, yeah, I know I'm new. I'm going to mess everything up in here. But I guarantee you, after 2 weeks, he's going to be chilling. Of
Yeah.
course, he was chilling. He started
Mm-hmm.
going into mainstream classes,
Oh
and
wow.
he just wanted to do stuff.
Yep.
Like he
No,
was a
and it's
guy's guy.
so uh-huh. And that is so like I mean, that is what I feel like was starting to happen with Wyatt, is he was just so under engaged that
Yeah,
he maybe he was picking on people. I don't know. Like
probably.
he, he knows how to push people's buttons. I do know that. And he has a
Yeah.
sibling and they have a very much a sibling relationship. And
Do
that is
they?
so great. But
Nice.
yes, of course, if you're bored, you're going to try to find something to do.
Uh-huh.
And so that is, I'll just it's just like seared into my brain, you know, they wrote it, they have like a daily log, that they'll like
Yeah.
write a few things in. So I know what happened that day. And one day, only thing that was written in his log was that he was tormenting the other kids on and off all day. And I'm like,
That's all they wrote.
yes.
So
I
okay,
mean, I'm
you get
like,
he
as a
gets home,
mother,
you read that. What does you do?
I
Rage?
probably called his teacher.
Yeah.
And I was just like the devastation. Like, that's all you could write. Like,
Wow.
there had to be something positive, and I
Hmm.
think that is a lot too of what happens. Just like lots of just very, there has to be something positive that happened today. He was here for like 6 hours. Like,
Yeah.
um, so ultimately, for now, still like homeschooling is still right for right now. I
Yeah.
always am like, I'm always open to, I don't know what's going to happen, and I think that's probably a lot of parents is like, I, I don't know what could change. Maybe we'll find a great place, a great school with like great support. I don't know, but right now this is what our nervous systems needed.
Yeah.
um, so it's been good.
Yeah. How's homeschool go? How old is he?
Why it's 10.
10. And
Yep.
how's the homeschool? What's his day look like?
You know, I don't honestly, every day is different and we don't have like a set schedule or anything like that. We always do like reading, writing, spelling. Um, we also do like a lot of like non-school work, but
Life skills.
engagement. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was something last year. We actually had hired an aide to be in our house last year to help me with homeschooling. And I was like, I mostly just want engagement for him because he deserves that, you know. And it was great. There's crafting, there's, you know, I mean anything that basically like catches his attention, we'll go ahead and do. Um, but I don't know. I feel like a lot of homeschooling in general, I think, has become a lot more popular. And the idea that like you need to do school for 6 hours a day is like, it's not really the truth.
No.
And since we go to maximum potential 3 times a week, I mean, that takes up a big chunk of, because we live an hour away from them, that
Wow.
takes up a big chunk of our day, 3 days a
Yeah.
week. So we're in the car a lot. And um, so, but I mean, it's been great.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's good you found a spot. What so he's 10 now.
Mhm.
Can you catch me up to speed from the start till now? What
Yeah.
what's the birth story and all the early days?
Gosh, birth story. You know, I felt like it was pretty normal at the time.
Yeah.
Um, until we started going to the chiropractor and I was like, "Oh, you know, they really brought to light like
All the
a lot of this
yeah.
can or like interventions like that stuff's not that's not normal and that's not good."
The
Um,
perfect storm, doctor telling me.
yes. Yes. Um, he I feel like the only really thing that happened during birth was that I was so loopy that I couldn't push, and he got a little stuck for like it took about 30 minutes, and a lot of people it takes a lot longer, but like the
Uh-huh.
doctor was threatening a C-section because he wasn't moving. Like he was a little stuck. And
Yeah.
so there was definitely like his blood pressure was dropping and stuff like that. Um, I mean, birth, really, that's pretty much it. I mean, I don't know what, as far as vaccinations, how far into all that you want to go, like if you're
Oh.
totally open to all that.
Let it rip.
Okay. So we actually, and this just like totally sucks because
Yeah.
it totally sucks. But before Wyatt got his 2 month vaccines, Tommy's parents, were like, are you sure you guys want to do that, basically? And
Oh.
they gave us these, I don't even know what the DVDs are called. I have no idea, but it was basically like information on vaccines and how dangerous they are. And we went ahead and did it anyway.
Yeah.
And I try not to think about it too much because
Uh-huh.
it's, you know, it
It's
sucks.
heavy.
And
Yeah.
um we went ahead and got every vaccine under the sun until it was until we started seeing his biomedical doctor. So he was probably, I feel like he was 4 when we did that.
Uh-huh.
Including like the complete like flu vaccine schedule. Which I think the flu vaccine was, I think that was the vaccine that
Uh-huh.
really over time did him in because he was getting so many boosters of them. Like I feel like the first one you get one and then you get another one a month later or something crazy. And then um I think the flu vaccines are what really
Mm.
caused a lot of his regression. And actually, in fact, he lost his like very last word right after a flu vaccine. It was
Mm.
like, I remember we were in speech therapy and it was like the fall of 2018, probably.
Mm.
And I don't know,
So he's like 3. ish.
At that point, 3.5 probably. Yeah, because he was born in 2015, so probably 3.5. And so we started seeing him regress, that 18-month to 2 year um age, the pretty typical age that I feel like a lot of people see. Um Before that, he did have like what I would say was a pretty normal vocabulary for like a 1 to 2 year old. Um and then yeah, it was like the curtains just kind of like slowly were pulled, like just
Mm,
not only words left, but like just became disconnected. Like lack of eye contact. I remember like he wouldn't look at you if you said his name, or I mean, and you could like, it was like he couldn't hear you. Um, and we actually like that was something that they recommended was like, oh, well, let's get a hearing test done. And even doing that, like actually they even the hearing test was inconclusive because they could like he just wouldn't respond enough to the testing that it wasn't like clear if yes or no he can hear. We saw an ENT to see if like his, adenoids and tonsils were like enlarged or anything like that. Um, and gosh, what else? By the time we got to speech therapy, things were pretty tough. Um, like he just wouldn't listen. Like there was no
mm.
reasoning, there was no keeping him in a room. The first speech therapist that we had, like she literally, I didn't love her anyway, I'm not gonna lie, but like she
Tijuana.
she just had no idea, I think, how to work with a non-speaking child. Um, and she was the first person that brought up to me even regressive autism. Um, And I will never forget to like at this point, I mean, I was like an emotional wreck pretty much all the time. Like I was just devastated. And she told me that I was crying as she's telling me like that maybe he has regressive autism, which actually that probably wasn't even something she should have said. But she told me that maybe I needed therapy because it was that so I could deal with the fact that Wyatt had autism. And I um we did we did speech for like a period of time and then we switched to OT just because it was outpatient. It was so expensive. And when we finished that OT block, I asked for a different therapist because I was like, they just number one didn't vibe. I didn't vibe with her. And the next one was great. I loved the next speech therapist. Um I wouldn't say that Wyatt made a lot of progress doing that. Um and then when he was around 4, we had him go to preschool. Um, your regular old run-of-the-mill preschool. So that was 2019 to 2020. And school closing in 2020 was a blessing because preschool was just not it for him. He just didn't have the support and they had no idea what to do. Like, um, so that was a blessing. Um, we decided to keep him out of school then, which was like it was, masks in school then picked up then from 2020 to 2021, and we were like, we're not doing. First of all, there's no way that Wyatt's going to do that. He's not going to keep a mask on.
I used to get
And
yelled at. They're like, "You gotta get your students to wear." I'm like, come on, get serious.
that's just not happening. And so we kept him home, and Jesse wasn't old enough to go to school yet, so that we stayed home and we were in our little bubble. And honestly, it was so great. I was just like, this is exactly what we're supposed to be doing right now. Um, and then the following year is when he went back to public school and we started back up there. Um, we started seeing his biomed doctor. Like I said, I think he was 4. And I miss that man because he just was like a phone call away, like so passionate about what he did. And he actually had an adult son with profound autism. So that's actually how he specialized actually in treating autism and Lyme disease. Um, and it all came from his son having high support needs. Um, he was a doctor obviously before, but he did like emergency medicine. And then we just gained so much knowledge from him, and he was just like a text or a call away. We did tons of extensive like blood work with Wyatt, which really revealed a lot about what was going on inside his body. And like deficiencies and stuff that I don't even understand still, but just like his body was just completely out of whack, and the doctor really helped us get going. um Lots of what people, ivermectin during COVID was like a huge problem. We had given Wyatt ivermectin a couple of times through the biomed doctor, and it was just
It's,
um
it's, sa- it's, it's saving lives. What it
yes,
was doing.
exactly. Yes. um So just we've done so many not conventional things.
Yeah.
And all of them, it's so funny because it's just like when I was first listening to Dr. Tony's podcast, like basically it was like I'll compare it to like an infomercial, like, have you tried all of these things and none of them have really helped? Well, give us a try. Like it
Right.
was literally like, have you been spying on me? Like it was so crazy. We've literally done it all. And you know, I don't know. It's just funny where God leads you, and
Hmm.
so many like small pieces put into place like just to get us to where we are. Even we found out about his biomedical doctor through his occupational therapist at the hospital because she also had a son who was on the spectrum. And I brought up to her the possibility of, I feel like, mercury poisoning. And she literally like kind of like slipped me a note, like, you know what? That could be a possibility. My son sees this doctor. And I was like, "Oh,
Hmm.
okay." And that was where that came from even. So it was like just
Interesting.
these random connections that really just aren't so random. And
Right.
so it's funny how it's all come together, and I don't know. It's tiring.
Yeah. 100%. What is I gotta hit into the emotions a little bit because I know a lot of the listeners, they can relate, and as much as they probably don't want to tap into them, but what is it like when you see, I don't know, was it last week or 2 weeks ago, when the CDC changes their tune about there isn't sufficient evidence to say that
Hmm.
vaccines don't cause autism. I saw Tony or Tommy's response. I saw
Yes.
and I was like, oh yep, that's going to my stories.
Yes. You
What did
know,
that do for you?
it's funny because Tommy and I, when that happened, we obviously talked a little bit about it, and I was just like, I kind of, I don't know if indifferent is the right word, and that's maybe that's weird. I kind of feel indifferent about it just because I I already knew that,
Right,
unfortunately.
right.
I didn't want to believe it at the very beginning, and then I unfortunately had to find out through experience that it wasn't true that all vaccines were safe. And I was like, obviously, it's great for future generations and for like young
Hmm.
people that don't have kids yet, like please do your research. And Tommy would say that he doesn't think all vaccines are bad. I would say I think that actually.
Yep,
I
yep.
truly I would say that yes, I am 100% anti-vaccine. Like if I could if I could go back in time and take that away for both my kids, and Jessie has, she's 100% neurotypical.
Okay.
Um I would
She's
take it away
younger.
for both of them. Yeah, she's younger than Wyatt. She's 8. She'll be 9 here in a couple of months.
Okay.
Um, but I don't even want to give our dogs shots at this point.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
I'm,
it's like they've given so much like assurance that it's all safe and effective, and then now they change their tune where it's like I know all the pro-vaxxers are like, oh, they're just causing vaccine hesitancy, but it's like, whoa, hold up, all these parents have known this all along,
yeah.
and so yeah, that's a rough road.
It should cause hesitancy. You
It
should be
should.
hesitant before you give your literally 1 hour old baby the Hep B vaccine or the vitamin K shot. Or, I mean, there's just like I don't know the the phrase, but like you just have to use a little bit of like pretty rational thinking to understand that like that's just not necessary. And honestly, something I will say, like just to maybe like make myself not feel so bad, is I was only 24 when Wyatt
You
was
didn't.
born. I
You
had
didn't know any
no
better.
knowledge of
No.
anything about vaccines. And in fact, when his parents told us, or were like, you guys should really maybe look into these, when we took him for his 2-month vaccines, we brought it up to them. And the nurse assured us that that doctor who came out with those studies, he lost his license. And that is not factual. And these are safe. And so, like, we even brought it up, and it was, you know, it, and we're like, okay, I mean, I think you're scared into doing it
Yeah.
because nobody wants their kid to be sick.
Right.
But I'll never forget one time watching a video of Jim Carrey because he was very anti-vaccine. I don't know anymore, but I watched a video of him talking about the rotavirus vaccine.
Hmm.
And it just made so much sense. And he was like, if you have access to healthcare and clean water, if you get the rotavirus, it's not going to kill you. And I was
Hmm.
like, that it's so logical, but it's not presented to you that way at all. Um, I feel like I don't even know if gaslit is really the better word. You're lied to
Right.
about the likelihood of your child getting a virus like that. You're lied to about the likelihood of them surviving it because of modern day medicine. I mean, I do believe in life-saving medicine,
Right.
um, but I think there are a lot of other things that you can do for like preventative care or than vaccines.
Yeah.
You know, not us vaccinating Wyatt then led my brother-in-law and his wife to not vaccinate their kids
Oh
at
wow.
all. And but I do know they took one of their daughters. I feel like they wanted to get like the whooping cough vaccine or specifically.
Uh-huh.
They didn't even inform them that that was a combination shot. Um, so they were so upset because they went to get this vaccine and instead they got like what is it even? The DTaP? I don't even know anymore. But it was like a combination shot. And they were so upset because you're just not given any information. You're not given the proper information. And they can
No.
give you the insert or maybe they don't, but the likelihood of you reading it is probably
Slim.
maybe it's not high. And if you want the whooping cough vaccine, I feel like you should be told that, well, that also contains this, this, and this. Like, um, so I don't know. I'm I was a little indifferent to the CDC information, mostly too because like I lived with so much regret for a long time, and I had to come to terms and an acceptance of this is my one life and I have to make it good, even if
Mhm.
something bad has happened, or even if I regret something like, Wyatt is still perfect. Um, that doesn't mean things aren't difficult or that he doesn't struggle, but it really came from like, yeah, I just feel like I regret and I blamed myself a lot for a long, long time. And so um you learn to like just start celebrating your kid more than wishing things were different or wishing they even like I mean some real thoughts are like I wish we could do this, like we don't get to do this or that everybody else does, and like it's like there's resentment definitely that comes not towards your child but like towards life, and like you get hardened
Yeah.
and
I, I mean, I can
I mean,
relate for sure in the last 2 years going through a
right.
cancer journey with my wife.
Right. And I've even had like family members say to me, well, you just don't show any emotion. And I'm like, because I'm tired of it. I'm, I'm, I've showed so much like years ago. Like I cried at the drop, like I cried at the drop of a hat over everything. Like I've had to grow into my role and what our life is. And I don't want to cry all the time. Like you don't show any emotion. I'm like, but you did. And like also like when you're trying to plunder through a hard situation, like you kind of learn that like you gotta pull up your big girl panties and just get
Yeah.
like there's no room, there's no crying in baseball sometimes.
I
Like,
was just joking with my dad about this because, yeah, there was in the difficult times right now, where it's like, like my dad, I was like, how do you handle it? And I was like, Dad, well, you growing up, you taught us something very, very valuable to put on our game face and
yeah,
just power through and make it happen. I was like, however, something you didn't teach me was how to take it off. So
yes, that's so funny and
that's
so
where,
true.
yeah,
And it is. And I think just of I think too when things don't meet your expectations or even like other people's behaviors don't meet your expectations, like you just kind of have to get over that and like almost like lower the bar um to where lower the bar or raise the bar. I'm not sure which one it is of like where your threshold starts and stops. Like there's definitely times where both of us are just like, and honestly, recently, like where I'm just like, I don't know how much longer I can do this. And obviously I'll do it forever, but it's like you say you're tired, but you're not like sleepy tired. It's like your soul is exhausted. Like is a good way to put it, I think. Um, I feel like you can only do the same thing over and over, like so much before you kind of break a little bit. And especially when
yeah,
when your kid's having a hard time and it affects our whole, like all of us. It affects the four of us,
mhm,
not just us as parents, but we do have another child that it's like, how is this affecting her? And she's having to grow up really tough and like living a very different life than a lot of her peers because of I guess kind of like us being in our bubble. Um, so it's just a lot to consider on a daily basis.
Yeah, and nobody. That's why I like this space for the podcast for parents, is because I feel like there's so many people that have no idea what goes into this,
Yeah.
and to get some realistic journeys out there.
Hmm.
How do you get through those hard days, those low moments? I'm sure faith plays into that a little bit.
It does. It really does. I mean, prayer,
Hmm.
and reading my Bible, just which I don't do enough. But just reading the truth. I
Yeah,
mean, that's what helps me. Tommy has been a huge part of my faith journey. I don't know how much I watched the podcast with you and him, but I can't feel like I can't recall like a ton of it, honestly. But I don't know if you and him talked about, um, he grew up a lot differently than me. He grew up a church kid, in church multiple times a week, grew up at church. That's not how I grew up at all. So it's funny, I guess. But he has never has never been like super pushy about, you need to do this, you need to be a certain way or anything like that.
yeah.
But always planted seeds and just like led me with, fruits of the spirit. And I feel like that led me to becoming a Christian and having a relationship with Jesus. It's kind of a funny story, but I kind of got saved in like the middle of a grocery store.
No way.
Um, and I shared it on our podcast, but um, and probably like an 80-year-old man was handing out gospel tracts
No
at
way.
a grocery store.
That
And
actually works.
yes, it does. So I'm like, I tell, you know what? And my father-in-law he's a gospel track like he hands out gospel tracks. I'm like, you never know like how
Yeah.
life-changing something like that can be for someone. And this old man gave me a gospel track and he asked me if I was going to heaven. And I was like, I either said I don't know or I hope so.
Uh-huh.
And just having like just no real idea of what that really meant. And he prayed with me at the grocery store.
Amazing.
And
That's so
it's
cool.
that was really
Were you
the like
alone?
I was.
Okay.
Yep. That
So
was
then
like a
what?
very life-changing moment. So
You went home and told Tommy? What was that
actually,
like?
no. You know
No.
what? I probably didn't tell him about that moment. It was like a year probably went by, maybe more even before I told him that. But at the time that that happened, I was just not in a good place, very sad all the time, broken. Things were very difficult. I felt real hopeless, and
When was this? How old was Wyatt?
5,
Okay, okay.
probably. Yeah.
So you're like in the trenches.
Yes, yes. And honestly, too, I feel like that morning that that happened, it had been like a pretty hard morning or something. And it was like, okay, the timing of this, like, it was crazy. This man is praying with me. I have no idea who he is. And he's asking me to do something I've never done. And that was to, profess that Jesus is Lord. And I was like,
Yeah.
he's praying, and I'm like, am I doing this in public? Is this the time? And I was just like, this is the time. Like, I have to let go of feeling like like I can't control anything. So like,
Yeah.
what do I have to lose? And I was just like, so yeah, from then on, I've just, that was a life-changing moment for me.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell my dad.
And
He's gonna be so pumped. He's
that's
I'm
so
a
funny.
pastor's kid, so
Oh,
I
wow.
I grew up like, yeah, going to Africa, and hitting
Oh,
the
wow.
streets, and I always wondered. It didn't seem like it did anything, but it's cool to see it does. Obviously,
Yeah, I mean, I think too, it just goes to show like how, like I said, I could have kind of like blew the guy off, but my soul was like, you need this. Like God was
yeah.
really speaking to me, like now is the time. Like there's no better time for this. And yeah, that was a really big moment for me. And that's gotten me through, yes. Like it's I
So
mean
your
it's gotten me
life,
through the last 5 years.
so it's gotten so much easier then, right? No.
You know,
But speak to that, like, because I think that as a non-believer, there's a lot of messaging around. You meet Jesus, you come to the Lord, and everything gets better. But
right.
externally, not so much. Like, it's still life, but
Yeah.
internally, what was that
hmm
change?
You know, you just have someone and something to lean on at all times.
Hmm.
Even when you think your spouse, you can't lean on your spouse because you both are upset or you're both angry. And I mean, you just have someone and something to lean on all the time. And um, it definitely, I feel so much more grateful on a more regular basis.
Yeah,
So no, it doesn't mean that life is difficult.
yeah,
Can I deal with it better now? Absolutely. And I also just, you know, I have, it completely changed my perspective. I don't even if I know that I had a perspective about eternity, honestly, before that moment. Um, but just that, like, this is the life God gave me. And honestly, someday it's going to be over. And what's and I'm gonna go to a place and where it is gonna be easier, and my family's gonna meet me there. Like, and it really opened my eyes to discipling to our kids, um, because yes, like I do want to all of us like meet up in heaven someday, and
hmm,
it just gave me a completely different perspective on just that life is fleeting and um not to, there's, I think a lot of people out there who are like, I can't wait to get out of this meat suit, people say. And it's like, no, that's not how I feel. But, man, someday, my kids are going to be 100% completely healthy and in a healthy body. And I have to help them get there. I have to help them with that. So,
yeah. Now there's
I,
there's hope,
yes.
and in a difficult journey, in a difficult life, without hope, it's so like,
Yep.
what do you have to do
It,
anything for?
Right. And that is exactly how I felt. I was just like, what? I felt punished almost, and just like what is the meaning of all of this? Like why does it have to be so hard? And then my heart change just was like it's I can't quote there's a verse, maybe it's in um oh, I don't know. It's a story of maybe a boy is born blind and the dad asks or somebody asks like did the parents sin or did the child sin?
Yeah,
And the response is neither did, but basically like this is happening so you can glorify God. And I mean that like if that doesn't explain everything, and just like my role as a caregiver, like I went from, resenting it to just like, this is my opportunity to glorify God every single day and everything I do. And it made me a more disciplined person. And just like, I'm just, every step I take, like, I'm just always trying to do the next right thing, like, because I have to. I mean, so.
Yeah,
Um,
that's powerful. That's amazing. What so when did you get married? How long have you been married?
2011, 2011.
14 years.
Yep, 14 years ago.
So for a good half of that, you weren't a believer.
Yeah.
how how did you now I'm really interested. How did you navigate marriage amongst all of the hard like diagnosis days and all of that and grief and
Probably just not very well. I mean, and honestly,
I
probably
always tell my
navigated it with a
wife
lot of denial.
yeah, like
Like,
I don't know how anybody gets through hard situations without God.
it's so interesting to think back. Because I wasn't like into like anything new age.
You're like
It was just,
yeah,
there was just a blank space.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, I will say probably how specifically I can say this for me, how I got through some stuff. I definitely, hmm, like idolized Tommy.
Uh-huh.
He was my like God. Like I just loved him so much and I still do obviously, but um that I don't know, just like what you want to say, how you're in love with someone. Like that's just
Yeah,
what got
yeah.
me through. Like I know I love this person and I don't know why this is happening, but
Uh-huh. You're committed.
we
You were still committed.
yeah, pretty much. I was like, well, I can't imagine my life without this person. Like we have to get through
Right,
everything. Like
right.
um and we began dating. I was 17. So it's like, teenage love. And then yeah, I was 21 when we got married and 24 when Wyatt was born. So, yeah, I'm in the infancy stage. You're like as a pastor's child, you
Well,
know.
but it doesn't mean much. I grew up knowing all the stories.
Okay.
I definitely went a little haywire in college, but
Yeah.
um, yeah, I
Like you
guess
kind
like
of
the
fell away, kind
underwhelming.
of.
I had the foundation always.
Yeah.
Um,
Which, isn't that's a is that a what they say too, or does the Bible say like train up a child in the way they should go and or that's a and I think that's true because that's Tommy as well. Just he had that foundation and even without like being in the thick of that for several years, like he's had it to come back to
right.
um and it's led both of us and I think both of us have really grown in our faith just in the past couple of years even so um just
Well,
when you
yeah. Well, I
when you
even
realize like nothing else is helping you it's like you know
you're kind of at the end of the rope where it's like,
yeah
and I feel like it's interesting how that goes. Like God meets you at a place where you finally come to a place of surrender, and you got nowhere
yes
else to turn, nothing else. Like all the worldly and materialistic things
hmm
we do to try and cope and handle, like they just dig a deeper hole essentially,
right yep
and then. But Tommy went into on when we recorded, which everyone needs to go back and listen to it, about how Wyatt saved his life, and that was a super powerful story. And
yes
I hear that from a lot of parents on how
hmm
you're in this journey and you're doing it's difficult and you're doing it, but you're thankful for it because it's brought you to where you are now. And I
I
think a
mean
lot of
100% shaped
yeah,
me and I mean like I'm prob it's so funny to say like I'm a different person than I would have been. It's like, I don't know who I would have been. I can't even imagine who I maybe would have been. But it is, yes, like sh completely shaped me. Our perspective just is so different on for like in just life in general. And I feel like we're resilient and so much
100%.
more grateful probably than what I maybe would have been before. And that's not, you don't know what you don't know. I mean,
Mm-mm.
so it's like, I think it's easy to almost feel resentful sometimes towards like other people, like, well, they don't know what they have. It's like, of course they don't. Like, they're not in our position. So no, of course they don't. Or of course, how could you can empathize with someone all you want, but until you experience something, I think firsthand, you know, you can't exactly know and you can't know who you would be with or without it. So, yeah, it's made both of us very different.
Yeah, but it's kind of like that, shifting from that mindset of being a victim.
Yes.
And I know what's helped me a ton these last 2 years is, for a while I kept asking why.
Mm,
And when you encounter difficult things and suffering and hardship, it's like, why me? Why is this happening? Blah blah blah.
hmm
But then uh, shifting it to asking, like, what? Like, what is God doing? What is, and zooming out and really looking at it, like, what is forming and shaping me and all that
Yep.
stuff. And then you
Yeah.
can find some meaning in it. And then it's not
Exactly.
useless.
hmm
Yeah.
And and I don't want our kids to feel like they're victims of anything either. I mean, we have a great life and I'm so thankful for it. I mean, things could be worse. I mean,
Yeah.
and that's not to say that it's not difficult, but oh my goodness, even other parents of autistic children that I will see on social media, it's like, oh my, like it's hard to watch. And it's like it puts even our life into perspective on that like realm. Like, wow, this other people have it harder than us. And um, I don't know. I feel like that's a decent perspective to have. Just it helps you to be thankful.
Yeah.
So,
And those small wins. What are your hopes for Wyatt going forward?
you
Just to
know,
crush life.
pretty much. I used to,
Get a couple bucks with Tommy.
yes, really, it used to be very different. It used to be, I don't honestly even know if it used to be. It was to be independent, to be on his own, um to speak, which those aren't not my hopes, but I have something that my faith brought me was like a contentment and also just like I don't feel the urgency that I once felt. Um I want him to be happy and healthy. And if that means that he lives with us for the rest of our lives, that's I'm happy about that. Like that perspective even has changed so much. And Tommy and I have even talked about it. Like some people like really look forward to like their kids going off to college and moving out and to them being empty nesters. And I told him like Jesse could live with us forever too. Like, why not? I don't know. Like, why do our kids have to move out? I mean, it's just like such a different perspective. And that probably sounds a
Yeah.
little crazy, but it's like that's just not where my brain goes anymore at all. It's just like we're this, to quote The Hangover, like this team of guys that like we're just gonna be together for forever. I don't know. It's just my hope is just that we can be happy and healthy and that we can basically get through. I know that there's probably more difficulty ahead and specifically like probably puberty years and I hear a lot about that. And I'm scared, but I don't know, that's my hope, really.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe that's really generic, but I just
No, that's
it's just changed so much. Like when Wyatt was really little, and the therapist said that he probably had regressive autism. Like my life flashed before my eyes. Like Tommy and I, as old people, riding around in the truck together, like flashed before my eyes. Like
wow.
that's not going to happen. Like we're not going to retire and like be retired people. Like
Uh-huh.
just the two of us. Like that's not, and that used to just like really, it was tough. I mean, you like grieve that, but it's just not where my brain is ever anymore. So
Did you go through all the grief cycle? What is it? Denial,
probably,
anger. I've gone through it multiple times in the last two
yeah,
years.
I can
I feel like right
imagine.
now I'm like in the middle again.
Okay.
But then you finally get to acceptance, and that's kind of seems like
Yeah.
where you're at.
I mean, for sure, denial. I feel like that's probably probably like the maybe most popular like
Right.
point in that cycle. Like,
Or anger for the
no, this
guys.
this can't be happening. It's not true. Everybody's wrong. Even though my gut literally said otherwise, I was just, you're in denial. Like, you don't want to believe that this is happening to your kid and that what does their future look like in your future? Like, it's um, for sure denial, sadness. I mean, I'm sure anger, and I probably still do go through
Yeah.
like multiple of those steps
Right.
here and there. I mean, um, I think I kind of went through it before Tommy did. I think he stayed in denial for longer than me. We also say though that like as a couple, you're I don't know, that God designed it so that we're like on different pages most of the time with our emotions because one of us has to be the stable one while the other one is feeling something big.
That's a good
Like
point.
like
Interesting.
if he's feeling sad, I have to be there to support him. Like I have to be stable enough to support him when we're always just like God made it that way. Like we have to like, level each other out basically. Sometimes that can make it really hard though, because when someone's angry or sad, you're like, why? Like, it wasn't even that bad. And like you then get mad at the other person and it can create those not fights, but like it creates tension for sure. So it's good, but it's difficult to be on to the not the same page. But
Totally. Opposites attract.
no, it's true. It's very true. Yeah.
Oh man. What we'll round it home with this question. What message of hope Tijuana?
So funny.
We're like right next to the bullfighting
Oh,
stadium.
wow.
Yeah,
Oh, that's crazy.
I can see it, and I think it's
Oh,
going down tonight. So everyone's
oh, wow.
going wild in the streets. Anyways, what what message of hope would you have for others in the journey?
Um, Gosh, for people that maybe like, I don't know, it would go for like, for people that don't have kids, inform yourself.
Yeah,
and do it way before you have kids. um, get informed on your own health and what it means to truly be healthy, and um, how you want to raise a healthy family. And don't be afraid of scrutiny for having certain beliefs when it comes to your health. Um, for people that are in it, it's, as you have said on your podcast and people have seen like on social media, like it's such a divided community, but it doesn't need to be. Like we're all working towards the same goal. And um I was listening to a podcast this morning, and these two moms were talking about they each have a son very close in age to one another. They're like around 8 years old. Both of their kids are on one or two medications. Like just we've never done that for Wyatt yet, but like keep an open mind. I don't know what the future holds, so I don't want to close a door, and but also just knowing that like if that's what you choose, you're doing that because you love your child, not, like not to change your child. And like if you do something unconventional, you're also doing that because you love your child. Like
Yeah.
just because we're really, I guess, like all on the same like map, we're just people taking different roads, like, and that's okay.
Uh-huh.
Um,
And I feel like
I
that's
guess
where a lot
that,
of the divide is parents want to do better for their children and help their children, but then the other side of the spectrum is like, ah, you want to change them. It's like, no,
yes,
everybody wants better.
yes, you're just trying to support your child, and that looks very different for everybody. But just knowing that whatever you choose to do to support your kid, you're doing what you think is right. You're doing your best.
Hmm.
Try not to listen to too much outside noise, even if that means people close to you. Like, nobody's in your shoes but you. And not to say that you shouldn't take advice or hear people out, but you know your child better than anyone. So just knowing, and that took me a long time to like, just very unsure of ourselves and unsure of parenting and what we're doing and is this the right thing? It's like this is what we're doing right now, and we need to have confidence in that. And something I heard recently that really struck me was God's plan is always going off without a hitch. You picking out different socks this morning didn't change God's plan. That was God's plan. Like, so every path you take, like he knew that was going to happen, and he has it planned out. And um just like not try not to feel that like paralysis, like that decision making paralysis of like, but what if I don't do this, or what if this isn't right? It's like God has a plan, and um you're not going to change that plan. He's not, you know, you're not changing it for him. So that's something that's really grounded me too, is, and I think honestly our journey has kind of shown that like if you let God lead, um and make intentional decisions, you'll look back and know that like things weren't a coincidence, or you'll see where like the seeds were planted. So
Hmm. That's so good. Just another, like, he is God and we are not.
yes,
Straight,
to
straight
put
up.
it simply, absolutely,
And that's
yes.
so much hope and comfort and
Hmm.
all that. Wow, that was such a awesome conversation. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for being on. We hit on so much, and there's so many. I feel like this could be separated into like seven powerful segments.
I know
Um,
it's so funny when me and Tommy record, I'm like, should we talk about like just one topic? Like, I don't know. It's really hard, honestly, to do that.
oh, super hard.
It,
But that's
so
the I think what's cool about these conversations is you just go. I
yeah,
try and go where God leads them, and I think He led
yeah,
this one. So
yeah.
so awesome. Right on.